If you're like me, you probably stick to the same few egg recipes on repeat: scrambled, fried, maybe an omelette. But today we are going to explore 7 different egg recipes you can make when you've got extra time to spend in the kitchen or just want to try something different. And we are starting with a real showstopper: deep fried deviled eggs. These are great for a Sunday brunch or a party appetizer. And trust me when I say that these fly off the plate pretty fast. Start by hard-boiling your eggs, then cut them in half and scoop out the yolks. I like to mix mine with sardines because I love the flavor, but you can totally skip and keep it classic. Add mayonnaise and seasonings that you like, then mix it all together until smooth. I put it all into a piping bag because it makes filling so much easier later. If you don't have one, you can use a ziplock bag and snip the corner. It works just fine. And now comes the fun part. Take the egg white halves and coat them in flour to dry off any moisture. Shake off the excess and dip them into one beaten egg so all the sides are covered, then coat them in breadcrumbs. I tested this recipe several times and I find that regular breadcrumbs work better than panko. Fry them until they turn golden brown. It takes about 2 minutes. My oil was definitely a little too hot and smoky here, so keep an eye on yours. Once they cool down, pipe in the yolk mixture, then finish with scallions and black sesame seeds. They look beautiful, taste amazing, and everyone who's tried them ends up asking for the recipe. Now, these potato scotch eggs I can't get enough of. They are a vegetarian take on British classic, inspired by the ones I often grab in Jackson Heights here in New York, but with my own twist. While that's cooking, finely chop parsley and red onion, and you want them really small so they mix evenly. Peel your potatoes while they're still warm, it makes it so much easier. Mash them with a fork until you get a smooth paste, then stir in a tablespoon of cornstarch. This helps the potatoes stick together and keeps the egg intact during frying. Add your chopped parsley and onion, a squeeze of lime juice, and season generously with salt. Now, the most important part, take your peeled eggs and coat them in flour. Then take a handful of potato mixture, form a ball and flatten it, and wrap it around the egg, forming a smooth ball. A good rule of thumb is 1 medium potato per egg. Next, dip it into beaten egg and coat with breadcrumbs. Fry until golden on all sides, which takes about 3 to 4 minutes. I like to serve it with chutney, so I quickly blended together herbs and veggies I had on hand. These turned out so good. The eggs are perfectly cooked, the potatoes are well seasoned, the parsley and lime give it a fresh zing, and the crunchy outside adds the perfect texture. Now we're making steamed eggs. They turn out silky and smooth, almost like savory custard, and with soy sesame sauce, chili crisps, and scallions on top, they're anything but plain. Start by cracking 2 eggs into a bowl and adding about 1 cup of water, then season with salt. Some people like to add a teaspoon of bouillon powder or use dashi, but I'm keeping it simple since we will be layering more flavor at the end. And we're going for perfectly smooth, silky texture with no air bubbles or lumps. Pour the mixture through a strainer, then gently remove any remaining bubbles with a spoon. I also suggest covering it with cling wrap and piercing a few holes to prevent condensation from dripping into the custard. I had to get a bit creative with my setup since my bowl was pretty big, but you can use a steamer basket or even a heat-proof bowl over simmering water. Steam for about 15 to 20 minutes until the eggs jiggle just a little when you shake the bowl. For garnish, you can keep it simple with a quick sauce of soy and sesame oil, but I do like topping it with chili crisps and scallions for extra flavor. They turned out incredibly light and delicate, almost like eating clouds, but full of flavor. Every bite is silky, savory, and just a little spicy. Up next, we have Turkish poached eggs over garlic yogurt sauce with chili butter, also known as chilbur. I first had this when I lived in Turkey and it quickly became one of my favorites. The mix of tangy yogurt, warm butter, and soft eggs just works so well together. It's so simple but so comforting. It's also packed with protein, giving about 25 grams per serving. We're going to start by creating the base for the eggs. Mix plain yogurt with a little grated garlic, a pinch of salt, and just a splash of water to loosen it up. This makes a rich, tangy foundation for the dish. Now, there are different ways to poach eggs, and I went with the most common one. Bring a pot of water to a gentle boil and add a splash of vinegar. This helps the eggs hold their shape. Stir the water to create a gentle whirlpool. Then carefully drop cracked egg into the swirling water. Let them cook for about 3 to 4 minutes until the whites are set but the yolks are still runny. Use the spoon to remove the eggs and drain any excess water over the paper towel. I also find it easier when I do 1 egg at a time. And now the most satisfying part, melt butter with Aleppo pepper, which is more traditional than chili flakes. It has mild fruity heat, but chili flakes would work too if you want something a bit spicier. The eggs turned out perfectly jammy and runny. I love pairing it with warm naan and scooping a bit of everything in each bite. The yogurt, the eggs, and the chili butter all come together for a simple, comforting, and special treat. And these egg scallion waffles were born out of pure desperation when I was craving my grandma's pierogi. It's pastry that usually baked or fried with bready dough that takes time to rise. So I often opt for this lazy version that hits similar flavors without all the waiting. Start by chopping your hard-boiled eggs and scallions and set that aside. Then in a separate bowl, mix 1 cup of plain kefir. Kefir is a fermented milk drink which is packed with probiotics and nutrients, and it gives these waffles very rich, tangy bite that's very hard to skip. You could use plain milk instead, but the flavors won't be quite the same. Then add a little water, 1 egg, a bit of sugar, salt, some oil, and mix everything together. I used about 1 cup of flour, but adjust as needed so the batter has a nice pancake-like consistency. And then fold in baking powder, your chopped eggs, and scallions. You can cook it in a pan like a pancake, but I love the crisp edges and shape you get from the waffle maker. They cook evenly and just look so much prettier. Look how pretty they turned out. These waffles are really good with sour cream, and they taste even better the next day. I usually use them to make mini sandwiches with smoked salmon for lunch. These soy-marinated eggs, also known as ramen eggs, are one of my favorite low-effort ways to enjoy eggs. They are popular across cultures, each with their own little differences in flavor and timing when it comes to marinating. Start by making the marinade. Mix 1 cup of soy sauce, half a cup of water, a splash of sesame oil, a little agave for sweetness, toasted sesame seeds, chopped garlic, scallions, and chili pepper. I added quite a lot, but everything is customizable here. This is what I like, but you can also keep ingredients very simple. Cook your eggs to your preference. I went with jammy eggs, and they came out perfectly smooth and super easy to peel. Once your eggs are ready, drop them into marinade and let them sit in the fridge. Timing is very important. It makes all the difference. For perfectly jammy ramen eggs, you want to wait at least 2 to 3 hours. Here's the one where I waited 3 hours. It was perfectly jammy with light soy sesame flavor and just a hint of spice. Now, if you leave them longer, like 3 days, they get much darker with a deeper soy sesame flavor. They are much saltier and not as jammy anymore, but still delicious, making it perfect for chopping into an egg salad. And this is my childhood classic, the Soviet-style baked omelette. It used to be a staple in canteens and school cafeterias, and I strongly remember eating it in kindergarten. Traditionally, it's baked in large communal trays and served in squares, but I'm making a mini version just for myself. The recipe is super simple. You will need equal parts eggs and milk. I measured mine using the same cup. Then season it with salt. Beat the mixture just enough to combine it. Don't whisk too vigorously because this isn't meant to be puffy or airy. This is not the texture we are going for. Then grease your oven-safe dish with butter, pour in the mixture, and bake at 375 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. I served mine with scallions, which we definitely didn't get growing up, but they add a nice fresh touch. Super simple, comforting, and a little nostalgic. I hope you enjoyed these recipes, and which one was your favorite? If you have your own egg recipes, drop them in the comments. I would love to try and recreate some of them for a part 2.